right, spawning in the bottom position of Metropolis, it's going to be FXO.Tear as the red Protoss. Don't be fooled by the name FXO Choya. It is actually Tear playing. And the pink Zerg on the right side spawn is going to be aTn.Delphi once again.
Okay, so PVZ, as we've mentioned before, we did just come from a kind of a crazy game on Entomb Valley. It started with an 8 pool from Delphi. He's obviously not 8 pooling this go around. And, you know, from there, it went into kind of a weird defense from Choya. He held off in the front with a wall, pulling all of his probes, then decided to transition to Stargate right afterwards and move up to take a third base, but some Lings got through at the same time that after the not-so-successful 8 pool, Delphi was going over to 2 base and Fester, and it ended up working out for him. So, weird game. Number 2, certainly nothing standard at all.
Yeah, and Choya, I mean, he did actually get that Stargate up, and I do like to see that in PvZ, but the follow-up just couldn't happen because too many Lings got into his base, and he just did not have that solid enough defense. He did a good job defending the 8 pool. Losing 5 probes was all right, and I mean, he was able to stabilize, but as things continued on, the airplay just didn't really do enough to slow Delphi down, and then the misstep defending just didn't work out great. Wow, he actually nearly kept that spawning pool from being placed where Delphi wanted it, but at least it got down. Now a gas is coming up as well.
Pretty good maneuver there, and yeah, I wonder what the purpose of this gas is for Delphi. Speedlings at the beginning is not something you commonly see against Protoss players, or dedicating that sort of gas to it. It's usually you want to get out there and expand as much as possible, but given that Tear is going for a Nexus first, maybe he'll be caught with a little bit unprepared, I guess I should say, for early pressure, but of course Tear knows that this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was kind of weird, actually. He saw the gas. He didn't see it complete, so it could have been a fake out, but now he's actually going to get in here and see it as actually harvesting gas anyway. But yeah, it's kind of weird. He's got the Forge coming up now outside of his second Nexus, but just that first gateway. Oh, okay. Well, he's at least got the full wall off, so he is going to be safe for a little bit, or at least, you know, force Delphi to actually deal with those destructible debris. But for the time being, I'm not sure where he's headed with it. And I mean, getting that Nexus up is nice though, because it does keep you pretty close to the Zerg opponents. If Delphi doesn't expand, actually, yeah, he's going to have to expand here soon, or he's going to get way behind. Yeah,
and like I said, you know, he does have Zergling speed coming up, and he pulled totally off of gas at exactly 100 as well, so he'll certainly be able to put on a bit of pressure here in a bit, and we'll see what kind of that he wants to do. I mean, because whether they're speed Zerglings or whether they're regular Zerglings, they still take just as long to chew through buildings, so I'm not sure what his purpose for these is going to be. He'll certainly be able to take very, 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 very good map control, though.
All right, yeah, he could actually, yeah, he's just going to dump them into the third and start working on the destructible debris leading directly at the natural. So I don't believe he's got vision of that. Usually you need a pylon a little bit closer to be able to see the life bar of the destructible debris ticking down. So it is going to take a while, but I don't think Tear actually sees that this is happening at all.
No, I don't think he does. We could actually grab his vision for a second. Now he has nothing close, no pylons, nothing in place. So let's go ahead and see how he wants to follow up now. Everything's looking pretty normal for him. Double gas on about the right time. It's really early third gas there. We saw Tear do things like this in his match against Yun, though, every once in a while, where he actually went for that very early third gas. And it didn't give him any sort of weird tech, although it has a flexibility where he could do it if he wants. He just largely used it for more sentries in his composition and more upgrades before a big attack at the beginning.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Tear actually was pretty successful, or at least decently successful, with Sentry Immortal pushes. So you can see that first Sentry actually coming up now. Unfortunately, Delphi just doesn't really have a lot of DPS to get through this destructible debris. If he sent another wave of Lings over there to help him out, he may have actually gotten into the natural to do some damage, but as it stands, Tear should have enough units to be able to deal with whatever Delphi throws at him. Actually, a Stargate coming up now for Tear.
And the Speedlings are making their way out. Tear's going to pick up on this, and we'll see how he reacts. He's already trying to get the Zealot into a position that's a lot more effective for him to attack. Nice positioning there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, of course, he's not going to kill all that much, but it does allow him to stand in there a bit longer, take some more swipes, and delay these Zerglings.
Yep, and actually now the probe is definitely going to see that this destructible debris has been worked on for a while. A sentry can actually come over and actually tickle laser down all of these Zerglings, so he will have to actually get out of there. 2 sentries up now for Tyr. He is going to want to continue watching that front, of course. If Delphi were to try to bust in with something, he would need as many force fields as quick as he could get.
Right.
And Void Ray actually coming up for Tyr pretty quickly out of that Stargate.
And Delphi, again, going for 2-base layer tech here. Everything's actually been very similar to what he did last time after the 8 pool. So we may see Infestors again. We even have +1 in the second Evolution Chamber coming up at the exact same time. So interesting.
Yeah. +1 weapons coming for Tyr as well. After this Void Ray comes out and tries to do some damage, I'm sure it's just going to support with lots and lots of Tier 1 units. He has not added on a robotics facility like Choya did in the first game against Dark Force. But, oh, actually last game he got up to Colossi pretty quick, so he did have a facility as well in that second game against Delphi. Tyr not getting that facility, though. He's just going to get a Twilight Council right now, though.
Okay, so Twilight Council's on the way. As you mentioned before, decidedly different approach than Choya, who was trying to bait out, or maybe not even bait out, but just the natural follow-up is to move into Colossi afterwards as well. So Delphi, on the other hand, does have that Infestation Pit about halfway done, so virtually identical to what we saw him do last time.
Yeah, if he gets his infestors up and over to that front wall of Tyr, he'll probably be able to do the same sort of thing. Just send a bunch of infested Terrans over the wall and get started attacking things to make more room for lots and lots of Lings. At this point, though, I don't believe the air units, actually they must have revealed themselves already. It looks like a Phoenix is actually getting into Delphi's main now. So we'll see what he's actually able to accomplish if he tries to gun down any Overlords. I don't know if he has any kills yet, as Delphi is not supply blocked or anything. Just
a scout. It's pretty much the same thing that Choya ended up doing, as a matter of fact. And given that he's, I mean, obviously Tyr probably doesn't have an account on this server, but I still have in the back of my mind, Choya just put himself in again at a second time. But Blink is on the way now. He does have his robotics facility done, but he's decided to try and go for a third much slower than Choya did in the last game, and looks like he will be able to successfully deny this third base for a good while too.
Yep, he probably didn't. Well, I mean, picking up the drone actually is going to prevent it from getting a hatchery even started, which hatchery HP obviously increases very quickly, and it would slow him down a little bit, so still picking up that drone is fine. We've got lots of links streaming in now for Delphi, but Tyr has 5 sentries already prepared for this. He's got some zealots as well, so he could just try to cut this force in half. No, he's a little bit too slow on the draw. And lots of Lings actually get in. The sentries trying to protect themselves with those force fields, but the zealot count is really high, and he's able to deal with that pretty quickly.
Yeah, with good attacks there. That was just as +1 armor actually finished up at the same time, so he had a few seconds there where he was swiping away and it was a little bit more efficient. 7 Infestors popping up at the same time for Delphi now, so but he obviously has a little bit less to go on here because Tyr has a much bigger force than Choya did at this equivalent stage of the game. Now, of course, Tyr, of course, still has kind of the same problem. Oh, he's trapped an Immortal in there. Of not having a third base in a timely fashion. But, you know, I mean, these Infestors, you know, could still be effective, but there's a lot more on the field for Tyr.
Yep, not a very effective Immortal, acting as sort of a ground-to-ground cannon instead of you know, actually a mobile unit that does anything. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that works out. Lots of Infestors burrow moving their way across the map now, though. If Tyr's not ready for it, could be pretty dangerous. A lot of infested Terrans most likely going to be appearing here very soon. Zergling's trying to do a good job to get to the cannon as quickly as possible, but the surface area is very low there, and Choya has plenty of time to move down. All the Infestors actually just popping up rather than waiting to be discovered and send out a few eggs. There come the rest. The Immortal's already blasting down these Infestors, though, so could be kind of dangerous for Delphi. The Ling's not doing very much at all either. The sentry control very good for Tyr here, trying to keep all of his sentries alive.
Yeah, all of them are still up. They're reaccumulating energy now. There's just a handful of infested Terrans that are left over, and everything's trying to go after the Zealots rather than what's... is he more worried about what's going on back at home? Maybe have been controlling that for a while. Another Infestor does go down. I'm a little surprised there. Delphi actually did far less damage than I would have imagined. Not that I thought he was going to get in and do significant damage. I'd said before this that I thought Tyr had a much better preparation for this than Choya did. But I would have figured he would at least killed a few sentries. Yeah.
Tyr is taking it a little bit more slow and steady, making sure he's got the ground forces to support his sentries and Colossi. The force fields really were just really good. The Zerglings had no way to get in and do damage to the sentries. 4th base coming up now for Delphi, as well as that 3rd that's been denied multiple times. With the Infestors out, though, he does actually have a little bit more control over that. But Tear is actually just gearing up, getting lots and lots of forces out, biding his time, defending pretty well every single time Delphi shows up. So he can just continue massing those Tier 1 units, and actually extended thermal lances are just about to finish, so he can even get some more Colossi in the mix as well.
Okay, and he has a really nice defensive position up here. Units spread out to make sure that Fungal isn't going to lock down everything. +3 weapons is on the way too. Unfortunately, no armor upgrades quite yet, but it has been a single forge the entire game thus far for Tear. And Delphi's going to make one big old attack here. He's going to have to worry about these Phoenixes getting in and doing economic damage while he's away.
Oh man, lots of infested swarm eggs, but all the infestors go down. They're actually getting powered through by all the Stalkers and Colossi. They barely get any damage done at all. The force fields again doing pretty good job of keeping all of his units alive. Tear is being very efficient with all of his attacks so far, and this actually looks like a pretty scary thing for Delphi, sitting at only 112 supply. If that Observer gets overhead of those infestors, that's going to be even worse for him.
I mean, the Zerg player's trying to go up to Hive Tech once again. He did, I believe, just finish Hive, but Greater Spire's obviously still a long way off, so he's not going to have that same Broodlord transition available to him like he did on Entomb Valley. That being said, he needs a really stout defense right now. He needs to be able to lock down everything with Chain Fungal Growths, but so far, Tear's been able to split up his forces really well. He's keeping small packs pretty much everywhere. He's very mobile. He's got Blink done. He's got good upgrades. Things are looking very difficult for Delphi at the moment.
Yeah, Tear is just slowly moving forward now with some forward pylons being placed. He can warp in and reinforce very quickly as he starts to move in for the kill, but Delphi still making some Corruptors. They should be able to power through the Phoenixes pretty quickly, and also those Colossi, but at this point Tear is going to start moving forward pretty aggressively, taking out a couple of Creep Tumors. With that pylon actually finishing up now, he's going to be able to reinforce very quickly. It looks like Delphi kind of sees that this really forward pylon just got dropped, but he really can't do anything about it at the moment. Okay, well, here comes Tear now, and Delphi just sitting back waiting for anything. I mean, he just doesn't have the unit count out there to support this and defend against this massive attack. Here comes Tear right up the front. The Infestors are getting caught pretty well out in the open. What?
And Delphi just decides to give it up. He knows he doesn't have enough. We've had two very anticlimactic games so far.
Well, really, three. I mean, even in the last game, the encounter started and Choya knew he was beat and just kind of left. But at least they're saying GG. I mean,
well, yeah, true.
But yeah, it's just those big battles. The players are just being very decisive. They're like, okay, I can't win. See ya. But Tear taking another Protoss victory for FXO, putting them up 2-1. aTnType still has some choices left for the next game. Who are they going to be putting up?
Well, it's going to be another player from Alternate. It's going to be Cloud, Terran player, who actually made a pretty good splash at DreamHack Valencia just recently. We'll see what he has to offer. We are going to run to a commercial break, and when we get back, guys, it's going to be time for game number 4.